What really is the greatest comeback of all time.
How much was the bet and how much you win?
What was the bet?
You said 9,000 bet? 10 cents? You won 910 cents.
No question in my mind.
I'm Tiger Woods. I'm Tiger Woods.
This is All American, a new series from Stitcher, hosted by me, and this season, with the help of journalist Albert Chan, we're asking,
What is this? Whatever we're talking about the media.
Cody, baby. Oh, that is so funny.
I don't get how all these bots haven't gotten any followers or any motion. It doesn't work.
Amy is today or is it over the weekend?
I'm gonna see you on different.
And what kind of heat are we looking at other than hot heat? I get
Yo, dog.
Rabbi has all these bots doing all this work and actually doesn't give him any
Hi.
subscribers or love.
That's correct. I love those drops.
What did Santa Maria say about this fucker?
I take my walk after the show.
What did Santa Maria say about this guy? Why
Let me tell you,
He's not going to
putting on a jacket.
He's
Walking outside.
Hey guys, this guy,
Finish this up. Let's do it. We finish handle on the news.
I sent me a request just a minute ago. Thank you, buddy.
Changes, including the science portion.
Things I'm going to accept it. I'm not going to accept it. Not even just
Science is hard, so that is an option. Now, English is still one of the cores. But if I don't speak English, then it's optional.
We talked to him last night. Boom. We talked to him last night. Yeah, talked to him last night. Boom.
Put your name down and walk out the door.
Where, Doug?
Is it supposed to test?
My boy X is not here right now.
I know X is the caller.
Yeah, I mean,
Back to a society.
where you at, nigga? You supposed nigga, I see you in CLB chat, but you're not in here. What the fuck are you doing, nigga? Get in the VC. What are you doing?
The percentage of African Americans who actually
Bring your ass to the VC. Don't be scared, big ass. You know where. Bring your ass to the VC.
You know, their business is talking shit and making things, you know, it's just, It's a bad format. Most of those media interviews are bad formats because it's a very limited amount of time, and you have to have a clip that fits in between commercials. And also, they're not free. They have executives, and there's too many people that get in there and just... The person talking to you should just be talking to you, and they should have an understanding of what you do and how it happened and what this is all about, what this means for future people. You know, it shouldn't be like going after Elon Musk. Everyone's so goddamn political right now. It's so weird. They're even making apolitical people political. It's just so to connect you to that, it's just so stupid. Yeah. What you are is, like I said, I think if there's a movie about the future, one of the very first people that has used this kind of technology, and we're learning that these people are getting better at it, and now with the use of AI, who knows what's going to be possible with you just in a few years. Yeah, it's very exciting.
It is very exciting. I know a lot of people are really nervous about it, and understandably so.
I'm one of them. I'm nervous.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit of what you said about it, and like I don't have like good arguments against it. Not like I can come on here and be like, Joe, don't worry about it. Like I'm here to help. Don't worry about it.
I would say that's the computer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let me into your computer, your phone. I'll show you. This is no big deal. I'm your friend, Joe. No, I mean, I get it. At the same time, the way I look at it is like how much it's going to be able to help people. How much it's going to be able to help people like me at the beginning, at least. Like I know a lot of this is like down the road stuff. Like, you know, what it's going to do to normal people who get this. They're going to be able to be hacked or controlled or something. But for me, I think about it like how many people who are paralyzed don't have to be paralyzed anymore. How many people with disabilities, ALS or Alzheimer's or any of these who are blind, how many people are going to be able to live their lives again? And that's my goal at the beginning. I know that I feel like people are going to look at me and say like I really need to be more concerned about a lot of the like things coming down the road. And it's something that I'm trying to think more about because at some point people are going to ask, and I don't have good answers for it. Because all I'm thinking about is, like I want to help people, and I feel like this is going to help people, and that's what I'm focused on. So.
Well, I think your perspective is probably the right one because no one knows what's coming. Yeah, no one. And you can be freaked out about it like I am. I'm sometimes freaked out about it. Other times I'm just sort of resigned to the fact that this is just the existence that we find ourselves in. Yeah. This is our timeline. We live in a very strange timeline. And it's happening at a very, very, very rapid rate. And no one has a map of the future. It's not possible. It's just all guess. It's completely... It is like an ant trying to figure out how to operate an iPhone. It's not... We don't have it. Yeah. Whatever it is, whatever it's going to be, and you're not going to stop it now. We are a runaway train. Yeah. Let's just hope we're going to a cool spot.
Yeah, right. I mean, you look at 100 years ago, like, there's no way they could have imagined what our world would be like now.
No.
So,
and I have a feeling the next 5 to 10 years is going to be a lot bigger than that.
Yeah, I mean, exponential growth.
Yeah. So, well, it's just once this stuff goes live, it's going to be really weird. It's going to be really weird. Yeah. But along the way, we're going to solve a lot of the problems. Yeah. I mean, look, if I've had 3 knee surgery.
Oh, you were talking to Bass last night, but I want to talk to CLB. I'm seeing it.
If he's not doing walk and talk, that's technically
Pretty much. One of them queers? No.
This was fun. I'm going to go.
I'm not saying it.
Bye, Brad.
You're a great bitch, didn't give him the attention. Somebody else added to the GC, which was Exodus. So, was that really necessary? Oh my God! WCLB for the fucking stuff. Oh my God!
Again, officials are advising you to call the airport or call your airline rather before you head
Oh my fucking God!
The problem stems from a technical issue for
Bro, WCLB for the fucking stuff. Oh God!
outages
What the
reported
fuck?
at Berlin
Holy
Airport.
fuck!
The stock exchange.
Oh my gosh! This is not it. This is not it.
CrowdStrike is blaming a content update for Windows, not a cyber attack.
Oh shit! Oh my God! What the fuck? Yo! Bro, that was the first time CLB ever dropped a sub in my chat without anonymous. He usually drop anonymous, but he didn't that time. What the fuck? Yo!
White Reader says the fire started around 2 this morning. By the time firefighters responded, the fire was already well underway. 170 firefighters have responded, including one who was injured pulling hose. The buildings that have been severely damaged, if not destroyed, include an apartment building, a church, and a floral business. Firefighters say nobody was inside that apartment building.
Another Democratic senator has called for Joe Biden to drop out of the 2024 presidential race. John Tester, Montana, rose to escaping yesterday, saying he's never been afraid to stand up to the nominee's role. Tester joins Senator Peter Welch of Vermont in to end his re-election campaign. More than 20 lawmakers have now said it's time for Biden to get out of the race. The Biden campaign has insisted again that it is still in it to win it. Former President Trump is officially the Republican candidate for president in 2024. Trump closed out the Republican National Convention in Wisconsin last night. He talked about surviving the attempted assassination in Pennsylvania and laid out his vision for the country.
Under our leadership, the United States will be respected again. No nation will question our power. No enemy will doubt our might. Our borders will be totally secure. Our economy will soar.
He says law and order will be returned to the streets, patriotism will be back in schools, and peace and harmony will be restored around the world. A new film depicting the homeless crisis in the U.S. hits theaters this fall.
Get these people off our streets now.
It's not that simple. They're full and big. Where are they meant to go?
We don't have much longer to do this.
No Address features William Goldman and Beverly D'Angelo. It follows a group of homeless people fighting eviction from their camp. Robert Craig's film says the drama is meant to highlight the reality that homelessness can impact anyone. The characters are true stories of left reachers to shelters, churches, and charities. Some poor strangers danced at the FC Fairgrounds say they're being kicked off the property.
FC at the fairgrounds have finally raised monthly equestrian rental fees by 75%. Back to Hamlet. Hamlin says fairground management was unwilling to negotiate. There's a protest planned for 10 o'clock tomorrow morning in front of the fairgrounds in Costa Mesa. The fair's CEO, Michelle Richards, says it's too bad it's compromise, but after a financial
Are you ripping dogs?
losing money.
Going on with the monkey, this is what happens, what we think happened. We had to kill the monkey, yes or no. But none of the other things get reported at all. None of the time between. Like if it's 5 years that the monkey's alive and one bad thing happens, then there's a report about that one bad thing happened to the monkey. And you compile all of that and you're like, look at all of these terrible things that are going on with the monkeys, but it's just not really true.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's a tough one because some people don't think any study should go on with animals at all.
Yeah.
And so for them, everything that happens to an animal in captivity for scientific purposes is evil. You know,
Yeah,
I get it from their perspective.
Yeah, I get it.
You know, they call us speciesists because we're willing to do things to monkeys that we you know, aren't there like a lot of evil people in the world we could practice on? You know?
I mean, I don't want to give anyone any ideas.
Right. That's a terrible thing to say. Shouldn't do that, but an innocent monkey, it's fine. It's very weird.
I mean, monkeys do terrible things to us, too.
And they do provoked, you know, or if they live in urban neighborhoods where they rely on tourists and they steal their phones for food and attack people. Yeah, they're fuckers. Yeah, they can be fuckers.
I mean, I saw a story of a monkey who basically tore some kid's face off. I think he was like outside of the village or in his village. And the whole story was about how they were doing reconstructive surgery on the kid and like making him look a bit more normal again. But that's terrifying.
Monkeys are unbelievably strong. There's a video of a guy sitting on the ground, cross-legged, and a monkey hops on his shoulder. And then the guy's like thinking it's cute and smiley. And then the monkey just decides to take a massive chunk of his scalp off. Just bites down on his head and just takes like a football-sized chunk of scalp off this dude's head. It's horrible. Just decided for no reason, unprovoked. Well, you know, monkey lives in a rough neighborhood. He had a hard life. He's not out there just, you know, picking fruit. This is it. So this dude's just sitting there with his monkey is like sitting on his lap and he's like talking to the monkey. He's like, oh no, Mr. Monkey.
Saying something bad about it.
Look, he doesn't seem like he's bummed out about the monkey. Now watch what the monkey does. Oh, gee, yo. Ouchie wawa.
Is that his skull?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was his skull.
Brain.
No, not that. I mean, that would have to be a chunk of skull, right? But it was the skin. It pulled, I mean, that's gone. That's gone forever. Yikes.
No thanks.
Ouch. Yeah, gross. But, you know, the monkey again. Probably had a hard life.
Yeah.
You know, sure. We need his monkey life reform.
Yeah.
I think when we're looking at these kind of scientific experiments on animals, a lot of people are going to have a problem with. Yeah. But I wonder through with new technology if that's even going to be necessary anymore. If they'll in the future, particularly with the leaps that are going to be made with AI, I wonder if they're going to be able to just be able to map out a study, you know, like understand the interactions between human beings and these devices and be able to map out the possibilities and probabilities without having to do that.
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah, but who knows?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. I feel like at the beginning they would probably need to do like that along with a study on a human. So they might run, say, simulations a million times on what, you know, an AI simulation on how this would interact with a human, but then they would have to go in and do it to see how true the simulations are, and then depending on how accurate they are, then maybe they could just go fully to that. But if it ends up being different, then
yeah, I have a feeling they're going to be able to replace parts with artificial parts too, like the eyeball itself. I was just thinking about that the other day, like how complex, like look how small these little cameras are on our phones, little tiny ass cameras, but one of these can do 100x zoom. Yeah. You know, one of these is 200 megapixels. This little tiny thin thing. Like, what's to say that they wouldn't be able to come up with something that works way better than the human eye, where you could zoom in, just like a phone, just like zoom into something, like, but have like a real optical zoom.
Yeah. I just hope they don't give them red retinas.
That would be creepy.
Yeah, I know.
Terminator style.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's just seems like they could do better.
Yeah, it would be very weird talking to someone with two big eyes.
It'd be weird if you couldn't even tell.
You probably wouldn't trust them anymore, right? Because you kind of like look into someone's eyes, you know, you find out they're cool. Like if you're just looking at these lenses, you're like, are you even in there anymore?
Yeah.
I'm just trusting that you're still there. It's like talking to someone with sunglasses on forever. You know, you never. What's going on there?
Yeah. What are you looking at?
That is a weird thing that we look through the eye. You know, it's the old expression, the windows to the soul.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell, right? Sometimes looking at people, you look in their eyes, you're like,
yeah, you're a little angry, dude. Yeah, a little sketchy. Yeah,
something like that. But like I'm saying, maybe at some point you wouldn't even be able to tell, which is also something to think about. Like if you wouldn't be able to tell someone had robot eyes, like just look like a normal person,
right? But that's a real part of how we interact with each other. It's like facial expressions, like figuring each other out just by like how your eyes are looking at me. Oh man!
Well, it's not like you distrust someone because they have like a glass eye or something.
No, not glass eye, but
Yeah.
if they got like little red lights moving around inside their head, maybe that's the only way it works. It has to make a little noise. Especially when you're alone with them.
All through the night.
Yeah,
Little
little
picture rapid eye movement.
yeah. While you're sleeping. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they've worked. Wasn't there some sort of a study where they were trying to develop an artificial eye?
I got whether or not this is, I'm trying to find out how real it is. I got one guy who has a 3D printed eye.
3D printed
Got a
eye.
camera in it or something. I'm trying to find it.
And doesn't it hook up to his tooth?
I don't. There's two things I'm seeing here.
They figured out a way to allow people to see things through their teeth.
Yeah, I see that. I don't get it.
Yeah. I'm not going to get that one.
Yeah.
There's not enough time in the world for me to figure that out.
For me,
Thank God for smart people.
I know, right?
I mean, how are they getting it through the tooth?
I don't know.
Both of them the 3D printed eye?
Here's the one guy, first guy. He's a director, showing something on accident.
Yo.
Because he's got a camera in there, it says.
And he sees through the camera?
That I was trying to get to. Yeah, it's got a transmitter. I don't know if it's going to his brain, but he can see it on a camera.
So you can see it on a phone.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
Maybe that's the first step that they need to.
That guy would make the weirdest POV porn.
Maybe like the 90s?
It's not new. It almost, yes, 12 years ago.
Uh-huh.
So then playing out on Game Boy.
Yeah. It's not a Game Boy, but it's some sort of a proprietary little electronic video player.
Yeah.
Amazing times.
Yeah.
So what is next in terms of like how long does this study that you're on? Oh, blind woman sees with tooth in eye surgery. Doctors in Florida restore a woman's sight by implanting a tooth in her eye. No, but I think that's how they do it. That is the thing. I was saying like through your teeth, but I mean that is how they do it. Team of specialists, University of Miami Miller School of Medicine announced Wednesday that they're the first surgeons in the United States to restore a person's sight by using a tooth. The procedure is formally called modified osteoodonto keratoprosthesis. Sorry. Sharon K. Thornton, 60, went blind 9 years ago from a rare disorder called Stevens-Johnson syndrome. The disorder left the surface of her eye so severely scarred she was legally blind, but doctors determined that the inside of her eyes was still functional enough that she might one day see with the help of this thing. This is a patient where the surface of the eye was totally damaged, no wetness, no tears. Dr. Victor L. Perez, the ophthalmologist at the Bascom Palmer Eye Institute at the University of Miami, who operated on Thornton. So we kind of recreate the environment of the mouth in the eye. What? I don't get that. Three-phase operation started with the University of Miami dentist, Dr. Yo Sawatari, who removed the tooth from Thornton's mouth and prepared an implant of her own dental tissue for her most severely damaged eye. The tissue would be used to make a new cornea to replace the damaged one. The doctors then remove a section of Thornton's cheek that would become the soft mucus tissue around her pupil. Whoa. Finally, Perez and his team implanted the modified tooth, which had a hole drilled through the center to support a prosthetic lens. We used that tooth as a platform to put the optical cylinder into the eye, explained Perez. Perez said doctors often use less risky and less invasive techniques to replace corneas, but the damage from Thornton's Stevens-Johnson syndrome ruled those out. Whoa. Using a tooth might sound strange, but it also offers an advantage because doctors used Thornton's own cheek and tooth tissue. She faces less risk that her immune system will attack the tooth and reject the transplant. Patients getting a cornea transplant from a deceased donor, on the other hand, face chances that their immune system will reject the new tissue. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for some reason I thought they were using that tooth to like, use it as a replacement for like a vision in some way, but it's literally just a placeholder for like, different things like the tissue and different places, so like you said, hold that lens and stuff. That makes more sense.
Yeah, I thought it was that too. I thought they were seeing through the teeth.
Yeah. I was like, I don't get
that. That makes more sense.
Like, why can't we see through our teeth all the time? You're looking at what's going on in my mouth.
Right. Yeah. All of this stuff is it's just mind blowing to imagine where this is going to be in 100 years.
Yeah.
And with you, do you have the if they start doing the range of motion studies or the being able to recreate motion or restore motion, are you going to be available for those studies too? Can you do that too, or are you only locked into this one study?
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine I'm locked into this for now at least, but at the same time, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. You would have to do it with someone who already has the implant in their brain. So I don't know if it'll be a separate Neuralink that they would need, like a different one specifically for like the two implants interacting together. I don't see why that would be the case. Just like the same thing with people who they're going to have to test to see if the surgery to replace a Neuralink is safe at some point. They're going to have to go through a whole thing. So they're going to have to do it on people who already have it in. So I imagine like that sort of study might be something I would be involved in if they're planning on implanting one in someone's spinal cord and seeing how they interact and seeing if it works. I don't see why I couldn't be in that, but we'll see. It's kind of a long way off, I think.
How big is the Neuralink implant?
It's about the size of a quarter. It's thicker than a quarter. I don't know, maybe half an inch, like that thick.
And it's on the surface?
Yeah, it's implanted on my skull. So they cut out a chunk of my skull. I think it's called a craniectomy. And then they left that chunk out and just replaced it with the Neuralink.
Did they take that chunk and put it in the freezer so they could put it back in you sometime?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think so. Talking about it afterwards.
That's it?
Yep.
Yo, that's in your head.
I was talking about it with my buddy afterwards, and I was like, I should have asked them for my chunk of skull. That would have been sweet.
Yeah, I don't think they're allowed to give that to people.
Yeah.
I think that's like bio waste or something like that. I think it's like biohazard. I know. It definitely should be.
Yeah. But they give people their testicles back. So.
Right, but it has to be in like formaldehyde or something. Okay. So they take your skull and put it into formaldehyde.
Yeah, that's fine. Sounds like I have it.
How many versions did they go through before they got to the one where they were willing to do it on people?
A lot. I saw from their very first idea of Neuralink through this one. I don't know. I don't know exactly how many there were. I would say at least 1 or 2 dozen different iterations. Yeah, and then the version I have is thousands and the 1,000 or 2,000 iteration of this one. So they're constantly changing stuff. So even the next person that gets it, they've probably made, I don't know, 1,000 more modifications to it. Little things, just if they've seen certain things in my implant, they can improve on. Obviously, they're going to change how the threads work. They're going to add more electrodes. They're going to maybe update the battery. They might update a lot of things. They're looking at updating what signal it uses instead of Bluetooth. They're looking at different things like that. So the next one that comes in is probably going to be much different. Maybe the same design. Maybe they find a better design. I don't know.
Wow. And I know in the future they've talked about putting this into people that don't have any issues medically. What are they planning on doing? How are they planning on that? Do you know?
What do you mean how?
In terms of is that going to just be offered for? Are you going to get what are the long-term goals? Is it to get the internet on that? Is it so people communicate telepathically? Is it going to be a slow build up to the idea that everyone is going to want to get one of these things?
I think once it's proved, so this study is to prove whether or not it's safe and if it works, basically. I think once that's proven, then they're going to get into a lot more of what it's actually capable of. And then once it's released to the public, I think people are going to rush to get it, honestly. At least a group of people who have been following it at the very least. Because once we know that it's safe, then that's one of the big things that people are going to, once that's lifted, once they're okay, it's safe, now we can go through and start talking about being able to communicate with people and being able to, possibly download information or have it be available to you using AI and stuff like that. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I don't see why it's not possible at the very least. And then I know Neuralink's talking about opening up a clinic in Austin, basically where you would go in and get a surgery and walk out. So it's not like my surgery was, I don't want to say not invasive because obviously they did brain surgery, but they were expecting it to be something like 3 to 6 hours, and my surgery took under 2 hours. It went super, super fast. There were no complications at all. It was not obviously invasive in the brain, but there was no damage done really. So, and this was the very first time. So once they get this even better, even more tuned in, then I imagine people will go into this clinic and go in and come out in a few hours with an Neuralink, and then they can chat with other friends online or something. Jesus, it'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool. Again, I'm not here to talk about like the ethical ramifications of that, or like how it's fun to think about, like things that might go wrong or could go wrong, and it's probably something that people much smarter than me should think about whether or not it should be done. But I think there are so many things that you could do with it.
I think it's going to be done no matter what. And if it's not done by Neuralink, it's going to be done by someone in another country.
Yeah.
It's going to be done. Technology always moves forward. It never stops over concerns of what could possibly go wrong, hence the nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
It's not going to stop.
Yeah.
It's just not what we do. We always try to come up with greater things. And if someone does figure out a way to connect human beings to some form of wireless internet or wireless data or some completely new thing, instead of thinking it as the internet as we know it, being these devices that go to websites, it might be a completely different invention that uses a completely different type of technology to sync all the information and all the minds in the world together. It might not be as dopey as going to a website. Like going to a website is probably like an archaic way to do it.
Yeah. It'll be like the cloud or the metaverse or something. You just hop in and everyone will be there. You can go and chat with whoever you want around the world.
And they can just upgrade your operating system and make you work.
Yeah, exactly, right?
You sign up for the wrong one, the next thing you know, you get some way crazy ideas.
Yeah. Propaganda will take new leaps and bounds.
Right, but then who's running it? Like that? Is it one person and everybody else is a robot? Like that doesn't make any sense.
They'll try. So I'm sure someone's going to want to run it all.
Someone is going to want to run it. Yeah.
It's going to need to be, hopefully, by that point, they will regulate it. But as we've seen with, things like AI art, even, they're trying to catch up with that. It's like, should we have, thought about this before all of this was released? And, government will figure it out. Yeah, you could look at that.
Right. Yeah. Well, they're able to scour the internet for every artist's work and then sort of take pieces of that and create art. And these artists are like, hey, that took me fucking forever to paint that. And you just stole it and did a version of it in 13 seconds.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
And that's just one problem. Another problem is deep fakes and songs. They made a Drake song that became a hit and Drake had nothing to do with it. It's not that far away from it being out of the barn where you're not going to be able to ever stop. You're not going to be able to. You're going to be able to do whatever you want in terms of creating videos, audios, and it'll look indistinguishable from a real video, real audio.
Yeah.
They're already going to take this podcast and translate it into different languages without me being able to speak them, just through AI.
Yeah. I mean, I think they did the same thing with the deep fake, like you were just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did something with Trump recently, where it was a deep fake of Trump, and after a while, he had to be like, "Hey guys, that wasn't me."
Wasn't there? Was there a football player that was saying some wild shit that turned out to be fake, or a basketball player?
Yeah, that too.
Did you hear about this, Jamie?
That's exactly what you're talking about, but there's a bunch of fake press conferences that go by.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's like a thing someone's doing.
Yeah, but apparently it was just barely wacky enough for people to go, that looks fake.
Yeah.
But you have to be very sophisticated. If you saw this, I mean, we're getting used to looking for things being fake, whereas 20 years ago, you would say that's real.
Yeah.
I see it. It's video. It's real.
It's something that I was actually just talking with my buddy about the other day. I think it's going to be something similar to, how we get emails from Nigerian princes, and we're like, Grandma, don't open that, don't send them money, it's not real. I think it's going to be something that people are able to do, the next generations, where they look at something online and they're like, oh yeah, that's AI, oh yeah, that's fake. But
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, they're going to grow up with it, so they're going to be able to figure out. But maybe not. This stuff looks so real. I don't know, but maybe they're going to have to be required to do like watermarks or something on it every time.
I don't think they're going to be able to stop it. Yeah. I think we're just going to get into a real weird, blurry place. I think the one thing that might help, and this sounds crazy, but I think ultimately what technology does is it makes things more accessible. It gets you more information. It connects people more. With translation, it's connecting people from different cultures and different countries more. I think ultimately what it's going to do is it's going to be some sort of a mind interface. I don't think it's going to be as simple as language. I think it's going to be a next level mind interface. And it's something through a technology akin to Neuralink or maybe future versions of Neuralink. I think we're going to be able to know what someone's actually thinking. I think you're not going to be able to lie anymore, is what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't think lying is going to be possible 100 years from now, which would be a really good thing. And if you're a person right now that lives your life without lying, you know this. This is way better. As a person who used to lie and doesn't lie ever now, I'll tell you right now, it's great. Yeah. I love it. It's a good thing to not lie. And if you live your life in this manner where there cannot be deception, how much more would we get done? How much more would we understand each other in relationships? And if you're bullshitting, you'll understand that you're bullshitting by the way another person sees your thoughts. And then you'll be forced to handle those and go, you know what? I'm trying to put this off on other people, and it's really me. I'm the problem. Yeah. You'll be able to see it. Everyone will be able to see reality instead of these sort of manufactured narratives that people have with this very selective view of memory and their thoughts of the past. And, my boss did me wrong. No, you're a fuck up. You showed up late every day. Like, they fucking hated me. No, you were super insecure, real shitty around people. It's like you'll see, we'll be able to solve a lot of our social issues that seem insurmountable because of poor communication, but poor understanding, and a lack of honesty, a lack of real, honest conversations instead of just people trying to win arguments. Yeah, that'd be great until people realize that, maybe you don't need to lie exactly. Maybe you can find ways to work around having to lie with this thing. If you can't lie anymore, if you're not allowed to, people find ways to kind of sort of lie all the time. And then also if you can hack it and then you're able to lie and no one else is, then that becomes kind of an issue too. If in some way you are able to like jailbreak your Neuralink so you can't lie anymore and then you're the only one lying, everyone's going to believe you. They think that you can't lie, and then that brings up a whole new world of problems. My eyes, you're seeing right into the thoughts. Oh, I see. I don't think you have a chance to lie. I don't think it doesn't exist anymore. I think it goes away. And hence leaders go away. That's going to be a real problem. We're going to have actual understanding of all the different processes that are in play, whether it's environment or resources or inter-country conflicts, whatever the fuck is going on. We have to have a real understanding of it without politicians bullshitting us as to why we're going to do something that won't exist anymore. That would be wild. They would be the ones that would resist it the most. They were like, we have this dangerous mind-reading technology. Like fucking Nancy Pelosi would have a press conference. I just think if something like that ever came about, they would never let it happen. I don't think they have a choice. Because China will do it, Russia will do it, everyone will do it. Someone's going to do it. All these eggheads out there that are willing to push that, but they're not going to listen to the government. Shut the fuck up. The government is just a bunch of people. The super nerds out there are the ones who are really in charge of this stuff, because even we're seeing this with technology and some of these hearings on AI. The people that are asking the questions don't know what the fuck is going on. Yes. And I'm sure you saw that with some of the Facebook hearings and some of the other hearings. The people that are actually asking about the technology, how much time do you have to get into the understanding of this? How much time between worrying about water rights in your district and this and all these other problems that you have as a politician? How much time are you actually spending trying to figure out how social media works? Yeah, probably none. They just have aides that are giving them all this stuff. Yeah. That's why they have pieces of paper and they're looking down with their reading glasses. Now, Mr. Zuckerberg, My phone doesn't go to Google right. Why is that? It's like grandpas who argue on Facebook. Like they're not going to be the people that control AI, and they're not going to be the people that are going to be able to figure out how to stop mind reading technology. I think when mind reading technology comes, it's going to come so fast that it's going to be just like all these other things, like the internet. It came so fast they couldn't control it. Because if you looked at the internet, if you looked at what the internet has done for like a distrust in mainstream media, distrust in politicians, exposing corruption, all the different things that we know about now that are a fact that just 20 years ago you would have thought been crazy conspiracy talk. If they knew that was going to happen and make life so much more difficult for them, they would have regulated the internet from the jump. They would have stopped,
and you should know that if there's anything that I can do,
took over like North Korea did, and you would get their version of the internet forever, and that's it, and there's no growth, and they'll silence dissidents.
Period.
And that's how they would have done it if they had ever known that it was going to be what it is now. I think that's exactly what's going to happen with mind reading software and mind reading technology. I think it's going to happen. They're going to be, but oh, Jesus Christ. I don't think, and also, look, they're just human beings too. They're going to want that. Yeah. If they find out there's a technology that allows you to communicate with people in a completely new way, and it's much more fulfilling, and we understand each other much better, and we really do realize that we are all one. Imagine we could communicate with this technology and it ends war overnight. Yeah. It makes war literally impossible. You realize that these people that you're about to bomb are you, and that we're all the same thing. We're all one consciousness experiencing itself through different bodies and different lives and different experiences and different genes in different parts of the world, but we're all genuinely the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It brings up a lot of questions, like where we would go from there, though. Like how it's going to change.
That's when the aliens land.
Yeah.
The aliens land, we figured it out. Ah, finally.
Oh, man. Yeah.
We were waiting.
If that's what it takes to bring aliens down, then I'm all for it. If that's what it takes to really get us to be face to face, the only thing I keep telling my buddy is, like, I'm all down for the whole, like, aliens coming, us interacting with them and everything, as long as they're not the mantids. If they're the mantis people, I don't want anything to do with them. I think that, I just don't want it.
I'm with you, bro.
Yeah.
Fuck the mantis people. Can you imagine mantises were like the size of a dog? We'd be so fucked. We'd be so fucked. Yeah. One of the most gangster videos I've ever seen online is like a gecko, and the gecko's trying to eat the mantis. And the gecko walks up to the mantis and tries to get it, and the mantis is like, not today, bitch. I'm going to eat you. And the gecko's like, what is happening? And you can see it look at its face. It's like so confused. And it's got its claws, these giant things wrapped around it, controlling it. It just starts eating its face.
Yeah. Mantises are like insects themselves. Like you really get up close to an insect, you're like, that thing is ugly. I do not like it one bit. Now imagine that. And the things I've heard about the mantids is they're not the size of a dog. They're like the size of like multiple people, and no thanks. Like absolutely not.
The mantis aliens I'm not too familiar with. I've seen like a couple things online. How many people have seen the mantis aliens?
Yeah, I know of one story where there was a hunter just walking around, and it got like dark over him or something, and he looked up and there was just like a ship over him, and he looked through his scope and he looked right into some like mantis people, and yeah, and I'm not okay with that. Like that's the one alien story I think I'll stay far away from and hope it's something else.
Well, you got to think that insects have some kind of bizarre intelligence. Because that's, if you've ever seen leafcutter ant colonies when they pour the cement in them and you realize like how sophisticated they are, like, how do you guys do this? Like, how do you figure this out? There's like, they have channels where the air can pass through this so they can ferment leaves. So they have like a fermentation factory inside their ant colony. And the colony's huge. Yeah. It's so big, and you little tiny fuckers built a city underground right here. There's got to be some sort of intelligence. Now, if ants evolved to the point where they develop that kind of intelligence, who's to say that in a different environment where ants have more access to food, more access to resources, and more competition, that they don't evolve to the point where that intelligence, it keeps getting scaled up, and they get to like a human level intelligence from an insect or beyond. Why not?
Yeah, they just need some psychedelics or something to really get that brain to grow.
Or a Neuralink.
Yeah, right.
That's what I have a feeling. I have a feeling that in the future, everyone's going to be some sort of a cyborg, and everyone else is going to be artificial. That there'll be complete life forms that were developed just with computers. Just like computers, technology, whatever form of chips, and they'll put together things that are more intelligent than us, can communicate with us, can work with us, but that's going to be one of those things. It's not going to be one of us, and that'll be a different life form that exists alongside with us. But I don't think there'll be very many people like me. No chip, no nothing, just a person. Like what is that moron doing? You're running around with no chip? You know, I think in the future, it's going to be everyone's going to have something that enhances them. We already do with our phones.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's going to be something like beyond that, where it's going to be so compelling that everyone's going to want to do it.
So you're not going to get it if it comes out?
I'm not saying I'm not going to get it. I might get it. I might have. I don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
I want to be the only person who can't read.